All right, guys. So I found this really interesting, I guess you can call it an article. This is from the NCTA's website, and you can get on the link, click the link below this video if you want to check it out for yourself. But essentially, this is the story of cable, TV cable, rather. I was really curious as to, when did it really sort of blow up and when did all the networks come into being? Because, we've known about the free networks that have been around for a long time, ABC, NBC, CBS. Those are really, really old networks. But when did MTV and ESPN and when did all these cable networks really come up? And when did this industry that now is feeding music producers like myself really get born? And as I went through this, something really interesting started to appear, or something just came clear to me as I was going through this. So I'm going to go through this real quick so you can kind of see how long or how short the history of cable actually has been, and what this means for us as music producers moving forward as new industries are now being born, okay? Because the reason why this caught my attention is that I've heard from more than a few people that the good old days of music licensing are over. The days when they had the huge sync payouts and the royalties were better and everything was better in the 90s and the early 2000s. So even worse, I hear people say if you're not already started, don't even get started now. I've heard that from a few people. And I'm going to show you why they're 100% dead wrong. Why that is just sort of you're being a wet blanket and a kind of a negative Nancy. And you're one of those people that's just making excuses for why you didn't maybe do better, or why you didn't adapt to the changing times. So it'll make sense at the end of this video, so just stay with me here, okay? So let's go through cable's ongoing evolution. This is kind of cool. I didn't know this, though. In 1948, the first cable service delivered broadcast TV channels in Oregon, Arkansas, and Pennsylvania. Oregon, I would not I would not pick as the start of this interesting technology. It's just not a place that I thought it would have done well. Arkansas, certainly not. Maybe not even Pennsylvania. So these are not sort of the first places that I think a new industry would have been born even back then. But hey, that's how it happened. So in 1960, it started to expand to major metropolitan areas. So in the late 70s, we had the first cable TV networks emerge. So late 70s, 77, 78, 79. 21 major markets now wired with cable, and we had HBO, C-SPAN, Nickelodeon, and ESPN. Okay, so just the bare bones, not a lot, but those ones got started. 1980, 28 networks now were coming into being. So MTV jumped on board. CNN started at BET, USA. Okay, so 1980 is really where a real, I guess, thriving industry started to emerge. Something that people started to pay for to do it. In 1970, a few people were going on board, but by 1980, it became a little bit more mainstream. And by 1990, over half of the U.S. Households had TV service, right? So now we had 79 networks. So the networks are growing. More and more people are getting access to it. And then here we go, the launch of the cable modem in 96. Cable residential broadband introduced. And so begins an era of innovation and connectivity in homes everywhere, right? So now that the technology changed and allowed more people to have access to cable, boom, you start to see these kind of numbers emerge. 171 networks are jumping on board now. 65 million subscribers. 115 million American homes with access to ultra-fast broadband networks. So DVRs on demand. So there's now all these auxiliary industries kind of growing up around cable. So all of this stuff really happened from 1980 really to 2000, around there. Okay, so 20 years, and this massive industry basically took over the entire country, and that's what also sparked music licensing for that industry, right? So technology will spark these things, and they'll just kind of grow like wildfires. It's just kind of crazy. Sometimes you can't predict them, but then when they blow up and there's a need and a use for music, musicians latch onto it. They go, hey, we'll supply you with music. We'd love to be a part of this new thing called cable. You have TV shows. You have all this kind of stuff going on. Maybe we could put some music in there. So this was a whole industry that grew up out of nowhere. And now people like me, stay-at-home regular producers and musicians that can have access to music production software, which is very readily accessible, have full-time incomes from this thing. So this is awesome, right? And this happened in a short amount of time. 20 years is not a long time, and that was even when technology is not as fast and not moving as fast as it is today. Okay, so stick with me here. So we fast forward to 2012, 93% of American households have access to cable broadband. Okay, so it used to be 57, we're up to 93 now. There are 800 TV networks, okay? High definition, digital phone, high-speed internet access throughout the U.S., so that's also bringing access to all this stuff, okay? 2014, add another 100 plus. 2016, we have 500,000 hotspots, 2 gigabits of cable speed, $376 billion invested in programming since 1996. So we're talking about multiple billions of dollars now that have just sprung up around here, okay? So by 2017, here we're at the end of 2017, 275 invested in infrastructure over the last 20 years. 20 years, guys, $275 billion, okay? And look how many jobs, 2.9 million jobs. And this is something that just sprung out of nowhere, okay? Now, even though we're going through an evolution right now, this is the whole point of this video. We're going through an evolution. Yes, cable is not as popular as it was. We might be seeing, and probably are seeing, the early stages or some of a middle stage of the decline of cable subscriptions. People are probably canceling their subscriptions at a higher rate now and opting for more online streaming services and other services to get their entertainment, okay? The point is, we've seen this before, okay? We've seen new industries emerge out of nowhere in a relatively short amount of time and create billions of dollars worth of wealth, right? And create millions of jobs. This is why I'm optimistic. If for you to believe that the good old days of music licensing is over, you have to literally also believe that cable was the only thing that ever could have used music. That the cable industry, with all these ridiculous numbers, was the first and last industry that people could have monetized their music with. Think about how ridiculous that is, considering the history of humanity and where we're going right now with technology, to think that that was it. You had a couple of, you had a 20 to 30 year window of time to license your music. And if you didn't make money then, well, I'm just, all bets are off and nobody's ever going to want to pay for music again. Nobody will ever need music again. They're certainly not going to pay for high quality music or anything like that. To me, it's so ridiculous. It's like laughable how ridiculous that is. So I hope this makes sense. This gives you some sense of why I'm so optimistic about the future of not just music licensing, but the world and technology and the cool things that are going to come springing up seemingly out of nowhere. And it's happening in front of your face right now. So the best thing you can do right now is look for opportunities. You should look for industries and new places where they need music, right? This is why I'm always harping on virtual reality and how there's not going to be movies anymore that we go participate in or experiences. Now we're going to have these experiences, 360 degree immersive experiences that we now partake in. We're not going to simply look on a 2D screen and watch other people experience these stories and go through that. We're going to be the main characters in these new experiences happening. And you better believe music's going to be a part of those stories that need to be told, okay? Interactive music that can be changed as you maybe make different choices in these experiences. And that's just one small thing. I'm sure there's going to be other ridiculous, amazing technological advancements that I can't even wrap my head around at this point. But there is a lot of reason to be optimistic, as you can see with this story, where cable came from, seemingly out of nowhere, and it delivered how many full-time incomes for music producers like myself. That's why I'm always thanking the technological gods. I bow down every day that I can, because it's just, it's a gift. We are living in very amazing, special times. I know you turn on the news, you see negative stuff, you pay too much attention to social media, you're going to get bummed out. There's a lot of exciting, awesome things happening in the world right now, and we're very fortunate to be alive to witness it. So if you're not taking advantage of these awesome things happening, you're missing out on a whole lot.